In the run-up to the release of DeSoto, which is going to be at the Eagles on October 13th, I'm excited to be joined by Jake and Matt and Pamela, aka Jake DUDA. Welcome.
Thank you. The Jake DUDA Band.
The Jake DUDA Band, exactly.
Yes.
This is Jake DUDA.
I'm Jake DUDA.
Right in front of me.
Yes, but I wouldn't be Jake DUDA without
me,
Maddie and Pamela.
So,
Pamela's a co-star. I'm just there.
Yeah.
Jake DUDA co-starring Jake and Pamela.
Matt.
Also with
That's
Matt.
true.
Yep. So, according to the bio, you are from La Crosse in Wisconsin. That's going to get a reference, at least one reference in the record.
References in the new album. Yeah. That kind of coincide with the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Place is going to be really important. So we'll be talking a lot about Wisconsin, a lot about the river.
Yeah.
And there's one song, Ramblin', that highlights that you were kind of born for the country, and then you find yourself in the city. At what point in that narrative do you come across this pair?
I would say, like Pamela's a little bit rock and roll, Maddie's a little bit country. No, but me and Maddie have been playing. We're actually cousins, by the way.
Yeah.
And
I had deduced. My sleuthing skills had deduced something, because there's a lot. You're not the only one in your family involved in this.
It's Jake. Little backstory.
Yeah.
I had a bluegrass band with Jake's older brother.
Yep.
And played a lot of stuff, played a lot of shows, toured around Minneapolis and Minnesota. But we were dragging Jake out playing this, like, the greasiest dive bars when Jake was like 15, and he was horrified
played
playing
harmonica
and like jaw harp.
So you were a few years older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a solid decade on Jake.
Yeah. No, but yeah, they would tote me around, and I would just play some harmonica and little jaw harp that I could. I think I was known as Jaw Harp Jake back in the day.
Were you?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
A name I
And then you taught
randomly
yourself to
gave
play
him.
the banjo?
You gave him the name and it stuck. And now it's coming back.
Whether or not it's stuck, I don't know.
We're trying to
I
make it
didn't know
stick.
about it, but
It lost
Then
its
they
stick.
picked up a banjo at some point and like started writing all these amazing banjo tunes.
Yeah.
And recorded what would have been an EP like 4 or 5 years ago, and that sadly never came to pass because the gear that it was recorded on got destroyed.
Oh,
So-
no.
So
As it does.
so official debut.
Yeah.
Jake did.
The other one is for no one's ears, because
It
no longer exists.
It's on Jake's website.
Oh, it is?
There's a couple
Contact.
things that came out of there, but
Okay.
it was all new songs for this album, mostly all new songs, and
This album has like an almost like a novelistic feel to it, insofar as there's like, I feel like, recurring characters, and there's a narrative, and there's kind of a story. I read everything through the lens then of the title track. Is that intentional?
it's I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of intent. Like, they were all written around the same time,
Okay.
and I don't know how one writes a song. I don't know if anybody has a specific way,
Yeah.
but
Why is DeSoto the title track?
I think just DeSoto being, living in La Crosse for some time.
Yeah.
It's just a town south of La Crosse that is down on the river, kind of that same, a little more smaller town vibe. But I think that was always, every song was kind of written around that area.
Yeah.
So it seemed like.
So you were physically in
What's
in
the
those
story of
places?
DeSoto?
Well, DeSoto has, it's almost the song
Yeah.
has a murder ballad kind
It
of
does.
vibe to it. Yeah.
The opening lyric is, "She danced to live and I killed to please."
Yeah. definitely. So
That's the tune.
a little more kind of information behind it. It was DeSoto. There's, when I was living down there, there was it's a nice scenic drive.
Yeah.
From La Crosse, but once you got there, it kind of turned a little bit, and there was a it was either like a power plant or an energy plant that was along the river, and there was a bunch of lights. So you went from this like river-esque, you know, bluff views to then you see this like industrial, almost town, city. We come across a big manufacturing plant like that, and then also right on the other side of it there was this small gentleman's club. So you were
That's exclusively a town based on said gentleman's.
Well, it might be. There's no, but it was from the song. So it was like it almost kind of changed, and whenever we go down there to said gentleman's club or to their surrounding area, I always just kind of, whenever I'd come away from it, it was like another line or something else, or a lyric would come to me. I don't know.
How many visits to the gentleman's club does one have to make to end up with DeSoto?
No, but DeSoto. So then it just, and then I had the lyric in the chorus there, and and I kind of built it off there. So
yeah, which was the lyric in the chorus? Which lyric came to you first?
Well, I usually the chorus comes to me first. And
yeah.
It was just down by the banks of DeSoto.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I laid her solo.
Mm-hmm.
My baby girl. She left this world, and I ain't gonna see you around here no more. So from there, it built up. But,
yeah.
And then it was going in the direction of a murder ballad, and then I just gave into it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And then
as
much as like,
and again, like the opening lyrics, then it very clearly established that, which is great.
Yeah.
But then the next song, for example, on the record is called "She Gone," and it's the reason why it seemed kind of novelistic and like there was like a consistent story was that, well, obviously, the woman who has been murdered is gone.
Exactly.
So is that the case? Like the references, even right from the opening track in retrospect. Then
I don't know what it is, but a lot of the songs, it's a family record where there's a lot of different aunts and cousins and whatnot are
here's one of them.
Yeah, are playing on the record. Our family used to have a farm down in that area.
Okay.
So
where was the farm exactly?
It was in Caledonia, Minnesota.
Okay.
Which is, 20 miles from there.
Not just up the bluffs from La Crosse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Minnesota side.
yeah, I think that's where kind of the, I sell your kisses for the family farm, because we at the time we had just sold
opening lyric to "She Gone."
Yeah, and I think what we were riffing off it one day. One time I came up and visited Maddie up in Minneapolis, and we were just kind of, I got this idea and
write some creepy shit.
Yeah, and,
about the fact.
Well, we were specifically
this
trying to do that, but I was just like, I got these lyrics in my head, and I guess the chorus is kind of like "She Gone," like we're kind of getting rid of somebody or something.
Jake did not express this to me, but I always envisioned the song as an Amish pimp.
Okay.
When did that image first come to you?
Oh, first time Jake ever sang it for me. Because I'm having a hard time finishing the song. Let's write some lyrics.
Yeah.
And then you channeled an Amish pimp.
Yeah.
And it helped him complete it.
Yeah.
I think I wrote one line. It was about the jelly roll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You and Sean
man.
Tillman have that in common.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jelly roll. You want my jelly roll?
Yeah.
Everybody
So
loves a
yeah,
jelly
Maddie,
roll.
Sharing
Maddie
jelly
had
rolls
City
and
Five
eating
jelly
from both
rolls.
ends. So did you write the whole Lowly Preachers and Old Boatmen sharing jelly rolls, or was that a collaborative effort?
I believe I wrote the first part of it.
What's the significance? What's the
what-
significance of Lowly Preachers and Old Boatmen eating jelly rolls together?
I don't.
I mean, jelly rolls. It's an old jazz New Orleans reference. Like,
yes.
Jelly Roll Morton, the arguable inventor of jazz.
Yeah.
He took his name, like Jelly Roll. I could be mistaken. This isn't the definitive definition
History of
jelly
jazz.
roll.
I thought that's what we were doing.
But
Go
it's
ahead.
an old reference to butt sex.
Ah, okay.
From like
So
19 teens.
the preachers and the boatmen, that's what they're up to.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I can tell you, living in La Crosse, I got really invested in reading and learning about the river itself.
Yeah.
I got to know a lot of Mark Twain and kind of his
Yeah.
upper or his life and times on the Mississippi River.
There is a literary component.
Yeah, it's kind of, so I was doing a lot of reading on that, and I think at one point I was doing a lot of reading on just like the history of the upper Mississippi.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was talking about the boatmen from back in the day and just kind of the pilots on the boats and what they see like, the wing dams and the down trees and the different things. So I think I had that on the mind when I was thinking of like the lowly preachers and the old boatmen, and a lot of those river towns that you kind of, once you're driving around that area, you kind of get that old riverboat, old river town vibe.
Yeah.
A lot happening in those towns.
Yeah, it's definitely a vibe.
So that's what you had on the mind.
Yeah,
And then,
so a lot of the songs kind of have that feel to it, like
Yeah.
a lot of river.
Yeah, they certainly do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the river rolls on. Is that the lyric? The river keeps rolling on
Yeah, that's from
in one last shot.
yeah, One Last Shot, for sure. And that was a
That song has a whole great story to it.
What is the
in and of
story?
itself.
Yeah.
I don't know the story.
is there a story to it?
Story
No, it's
time.
like-
Yeah,
We're gonna
No.
hear
that's
it.
the story, guys.
Yeah.
I think
Matt alerts us to the existence of stories that then Jake has to
Yeah,
tell.
yeah.
living
yeah,
in
right.
living in a town like
college dude drinking in La Crosse.
I did a lot of drinking in La Crosse, and
Did.
I came to kind of fear the river,
Mm.
because there's a lot of people drinking and going to the river, and so a lot of the time was like
Yeah, there's like an epidemic back in like your college days, right?
well,
Like
there's something, but it
college
was
dudes
mostly
just
just
drunken late night swimming and
Don't fall in the river.
never
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
So I would stay
Wow.
away from the river as much as possible, and a lot of that first line of
One last shot.
One Last Shot, where it's one last shot, I may not make it home.
Ah, that's what it's referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of make sure I'm walking in the right direction, and no matter what, and it's kind of on the bigger side of it is the river is going to keep rolling on no matter what.
No matter what happens to you.
Yeah. Or you could think of it as a bigger picture too.
No matter what happens to
Yeah.
anyone.
Anyway,
Yeah.
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 hmm So
Let's have the picture be just you and you're walking and you're drunk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the best place to go when you're drunk?
In La Crosse, or
In
Where is the best place to
well, I
go?
know in La Crosse, if you walk uphill, that's the way to go. As much as you don't want to walk downhill.
There's
Or
a
wait, you don't
there's a
wanna walk
shack.
uphill.
There's a shack that one might want to go to.
Big's Eye Shack.
Peg's Shack.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's
so
the story behind that?
That's
'Cause
another kind
yeah.
of.
We're drunk again. That's the common
Well, we
denominator.
want to get drunk.
So- yeah, and this is in the. Is this an actual? This is a Jake DUDA T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To promote
And that
this,
means,
yeah.
of course, that I am drunk.
Is that what the French? What the French say? I don't know if it's
Yep.
actually, translated properly.
I believe so. And the,
Jesus, right?
yeah, the chorus is basically, "Hooray, I'm drunk."
Yeah,
Yeah.
To Pig's Eye Shack, we will roll.
we will roll.
So not into the river, but to Pig's Eye Shack.
Yeah.
What is Pig's Eye Shack? And why do you go there when you're drunk?
The story about that one, because we're going on stories.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
stories.
it's kind of like a novel to it.
Probably songs
Yeah.
have great stories.
But when I was in La Crosse, I used to work at a brewery that made actually Pig's Eye beer,
Mm,
and
okay.
on the case of the beer, it it told the story of Pig's Eye, the original
Founder of St. Paul, right?
it
Sort
was
of.
he was in that Pig's Eye part of the river, which is now Pig's Eye Lake, which is right outside St. Paul.
Yeah.
And talked about he was a moonshiner or something along those lines, and everybody knew that the town of St. Paul is Pig's Eye, and it was originally referred to as Pig's Eye, and
Yeah.
now like the Catholic diocese says like we're not going to be a town called Pig's Eye, and we're going to be St. Paul.
Ah.
And I read that story just on the side
Yeah.
of the case of beer, and I
Yeah.
was like, this is awesome. I got to do more research on that. And from that, I think I was sitting down one day and noodling around, and the lyric just kind of poured out of me.
Yeah, bring Pig's Eye back.
Yeah, so it's about it's a kind of a dirtier song that to Pig's Eye Shack we roll to get rowdy.
And we do I head up in the bluffs. That's the lyric, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a recurring focus on like go up, go uphill, head to Pig's Eye Shack. We have been telling lots of stories, so let's focus on like let's focus on some sonic happenings.
Okay.
I love like the bridge in that where there's the focus on walking and drinking, just different ways of the statements about walking and drinking, and the guitar suddenly is doing something quite different there.
That's my favorite part. I love that guitar.
That's my favorite part
so
at the moment. It's my favorite moment on the record, I think, where suddenly that happens. So what is that? How did that happen?
The song is a really kind of hops around song.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's where it kind of just like bursts open, and it opens up. I mean, where it kind of breaks that back and forth mold, and that's when Maddie actually has the vocals of that part.
Yes, I thought so.
And,
how did you come up with this?
Yeah.
How did I come up with those?
I think it just
just told me to sing about drinking. Sing about walking and drinking. And I think I took that literally.
But it fit, and I remember the first time we did it.
Yeah.
It fit, and it's like, okay, so every time we refer to that, like the breakdown, like
So walking and drinking.
walking and drinking,
Yeah.
and it is where it kind of opens up, and I always, when we're ever playing it or I hear it, it just sounds like somebody stumbling, or like has like a big like
big
Irish
guy.
walk down the street that you're just like pushing people out of the way as you go.
Drunk.
Yeah, look out! And there was really nasty guitar solo during that too that Mandy provided.
It's good. I love that song.
Yeah, exactly. So you're singing and playing the solo.
And I played accordion.
Right. What happens live? What's going to happen at the Eagles when we get to that bit?
Good question.
Are we gonna get Alice to play accordion?
I don't know. That could be a secret.
That seems like
Alice is my aunt who performed some of the accordion with us on the record.
75-year-old Auntie Alice.
Beaten only by the woman to whom the record is an homage.
That's right.
Who, at the age of 80, began a band, the Granny Band. Your granny, yes. And that turned because you're cousins, like both of your grannies. Pamela is the only one.
Yeah, I'm not related. I'm related.
She's like family though.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Pinilla.
It's story time again. Please tell us about
Pinilla Ernster. I don't know, Maddie.
She has a song.
Is older that he could maybe give more of a background to it, but.
Pinilla, she's the family matriarch.
Yep.
She got the Granny Band. She
started at the age of 8.
An artist. She was a weirdo. She lived on a farm until she was like 85, and then sold the farm to her like youngest daughter. Moved to town. Moved to Caledonia. But she painted the cover painting back in 1973. This is the family farm in the background.
Ah, right. So that's part of like the appropriateness of the painting, because it is the scene for a lot of the songs.
And it's that area too that a lot of those songs were written in. So.
And it says in the one sheet that this band is carrying on the musical legacy of said Granny Band.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair to say?
Yeah, I would say that. It's like a weird.
4 generations of family were on it.
Wow.
Like our grandma and my then 15-year-old nephew played trombone.
They both do.
Well, your grandma wasn't. She didn't actually play.
She didn't play trombone.
Yeah. But she is true. She's
the
record is
spirit
suffused
is
with
there.
yeah.
And Alice played accordion.
And Alice played accordion, and my dad photographed the painting.
Yeah.
He's like a longtime photographer. And my other nephew Brody, he like all the pig sounds on Chican. It was like Brody giving me the tour of like his pigs, and they're like little farm boys out in southwestern Minnesota.
Yeah.
But
so field recordings from the field, from the actual,
actual
field recordings. Wow. So and so in the granny band, Pinilla would play accordion also, and glockenspiel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
the Glockenspiel did actually make a appearance. Too.
Yes, I thought so. Which song has the glockenspiel on?
Oh yeah.
Pigs Eye has it.
Bathroom Bartender.
Bathroom Bartender has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the two of them are both about liquor and being drunk.
Wow.
Well, you know, I take it after my grandma.
But I love the incongruity. Is it incongruity of like this kind of like nice, like beautiful glockenspiel sound, and then like the rowdiness of the songs, and then the subject matter of, I mean, obviously even from the title, Bathroom Bartender, it's where's
I do most of my praying in the back.
yeah, exactly. Was that that was the first lyric for this one?
Actually, it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, you take a lot of that. I don't know where that came from, but I don't know if it came from me trying to put down a shot and like being like, okay, just keep it down. All right, Lord, just do this for
me.
me.
A lot of barfing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So there's that part of it, but there could be some other things.
You do some of your
I do.
songwriting on the bathroom.
Yeah, you can find
like-
a lot of lyrics on the bathroom wall. But yeah, like you're saying, there a lot of like the prettier sounds with the rowdier songs. You know,
Yeah.
that I always was a fan of, you know, sentimental lyrics over kind of a rowdier, louder sound. Or
Yeah.
like vice versa.
And vice versa,
You know,
yeah.
but,
Because on the title track, so we have Sarah, who is Sarah playing viola and cello, for example. Who is that?
Sarah, actually.
Sarah, who's
So-
Sarah? Sarah Mueller-Liley is one of my dear friends and co-bandmate. Well, she's a bandmate of mine in my other band, Black Widows. So Sarah plays guitar and keys in Black Widows, but she also she's a multi-instrumentalist. So
Yeah.
she plays. Yeah.
And as much credit as Manny gets, a lot of credit goes to Pamela. That you know, just the connections that, you know, since I've moved up to Minneapolis, that she's reached out to some of her bandmates and dear friends. And
My other bandmate, Corinne Coet, also
Yeah.
is a little singing on the record too. So.
Yeah, which songs does Corinne feature?
I think just so Ramblins.
Blue Collar
Ramblins
Blues
for sure.
and Ramblins.
Yeah, Ramblins and Blue Collar.
and her other friend,
Joe Hastings.
Joe Hastings was
of
on there.
Hastings 3000.
Yeah, some
And,
guitar. He plays some bass as well.
guitar.
Produced, played bass on a bunch of tracks.
Yeah.
Soloed on played some telly on a bunch of tracks.
You also get Christopher McGuire in to do some percussion.
yeah, I wish we could have got a little more from
Oh
him.
yeah.
But when I say that
percussion,
is it was just percussion, and yeah, he was nice enough to come out and put some in.
So not drunk yet.
No, we had Scott Freeman on
Yeah.
drums
Yeah.
for the songs with drums.
Frenchie came in and while we were doing the initial recordings, he laid down some of the drums for that, and then Christopher came in later and added some of the cymbals.
The crash cymbals on One Last Shot at the end. It's like we spent some time and really dialed those crash cymbals.
We needed those to be perfect.
And they
Yeah.
were.
You got
Frenchie nailed it, then Christopher came in and nailed it. It was great.
Yeah, Christopher on the crash cymbals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his credit. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, let's go right to the beginning of the record, because I think that Brownsville Works is really sets the scene. At what stage did that become did it become evident that should be the opening track?
the opening track. I always like a good album that starts out hot and heavy, like really
Yeah.
fast right away.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was like getting dropped into that area. Brownsville is a town, southeastern Minnesota,
Mhm.
along the river that I would pass through a lot of Sunday mornings, like when I'd be like going on a little Sunday bender. And
Where were you heading?
Just anywhere, man. Anywhere. No.
Let me back up.
Yeah,
about
please.
15 years here.
Yeah.
Jake's first ever show.
That's true.
First ever show.
That he
at
was
this-
playing or going to?
Ever playing.
Actually played it,
Yeah.
Was with his older brother Pete's in my bluegrass band. Jake, I think, was 16, and we played at this little bar that used to be a blacksmith shop in
Okay.
Brownsville. Long story short, we had to flee the town. We made a mad dash out of there.
Some of these
And-
stories are new to
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
In our grandma's like 40-year-old RV in 2007.
What? In Pinilla's RV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to flee?
Yeah, exactly.
Get-
Pamela's one step ahead.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. Yeah, we don't need to get into it.
The bar did not promote the show. We played for 3 hours.
Oh.
The bar owner did not like the show.
You didn't like the bar owner?
Yeah.
No, they were.
I
they
liked
were
him just fine.
Yeah.
It was kind of a Blues Brothers moment where it was an open bar.
Oh no.
We took advantage of it.
We kind of drank the bar
Dry.
under the table and no one was there. And then they had to pay us. So he was displeased.
Ah.
And
Well, at least Pinilla's RV got home in one piece.
well, we
Yeah.
broke down in Hoka.
Yes, but yeah, that's a.
And that was
that's a-
your first ever show?
That was my first ever show.
Yeah.
I didn't get around to. I didn't stay around for the breaking down the RV part of it, but
Yeah.
I guess if you think about it,
You were in the bathroom writing bathroom bartends.
Fashion bartender. I got Brownsville, and yeah, it's all coming full circle now.
So, and in that song, Brownsville, well, it took me on down to Brownsville town. That's the ride that you hitch with an old man and his hound.
Mm-hmm.
What's the significance of the narrative in that one specific song?
I think that was more along the lines of I did a lot of driving in between on I-90 between Rochester and La Crosse back in the day, and it was kind of a road trip tune. I don't know. That's how it kind of came about.
Yeah.
And and then at the time I was playing harmonica with Maddie and them back in the day, so walking down the road with her harmonica in my hand, and
Playing the blues for my lover because she don't want me as a man.
yeah,
I think that's a really great, like, concise
mhm.
couplet to kind of get the record going.
Yeah, and
Then-
that was the first lyric of Brownsville there, and I think off of that I built just let's talk about a story about a guy who is on hard times and
Yeah.
makes his way down to the river and tries to find a job, but still his past is picking up and finding him, and
Right, so he's forlorn and he's heartbroken, he's trying to kind of get away from things,
yeah.
but there is no getting away? Is
I
that
would
what's
s-
happening, or there is getting away, or somewhere between the
He
two?
wants to get away, he wants to get to Brownsville, get lost and not be found, and but in the long run, I think no matter what, it'll always catch up to you, and I think that's where in that direction it went. But he was in that new area and down at the Boathouse 30 with that's another.
It's
I
like
sense
a
another
30-pack
story.
of beer.
What's that?
Is that a 30-pack of beer? Is that what that is?
What's the 30?
Yeah, what is?
Boathouse, 30 I feel alive.
We have
Drinking
we have
30-pack
relatives.
beer.
Oh, I always
Yeah.
said it said dirty.
Well, mine. It's whatever you.
Oh.
The lyric
30 or
sheet says
30,
30.
I had no
But
idea.
yeah, I think it just all rounded out to we have relatives in the area that has a boathouse, and no matter what, like whatever past you have or when you're there.
Shout out to 905.
Yeah. Like you're doing fine if you can
Make it a boathouse.
make it a boathouse. Yeah.
Yeah, to there or to Pig's Eyes.
There's not really a clear
Shack or-
ending to
yeah.
the end of that song, but it kind of prolongs it after that.
It's interesting, like how these very specific geographical locations keep on coming up.
Yeah.
In She Gone,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is the Amish pimp that is being channeled. Is saying
Exactly my
although-
interpretation.
although this in Matt's interpretation, the Amish pimp, although he's Amish, he is the scum of La Crosse at the end. And you will be my Potosi princess.
Yeah, that's another town.
A little village in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
That's right.
What's the significance of those specific locations, especially at the end of the song, just there?
Yeah, those are just old lyrics coming back up.
How old were you when you wrote them?
In my 20s. Well, I'm still in my 20s, but
When you were
early 20s,
20.
and there was at a time I did know a gal from Potosi, and
Yeah.
I don't know, there's personal lyrics
Yeah.
that just come up,
Yeah.
and Potosi princess, and I'll be the scum of La Crosse, and
Yeah.
it kind of fit in with that song.
Yeah.
So
But she escaped murder. She wasn't murdered. All of this narrative.
she's gone. No, I don't do any murdering. I gotta keep that. That's an exclaiming. No murdering.
That's the line for the interview.
Yeah.
So in the one sheet, it highlights that there's a traditional feel, but then there's reference to relevance, like modern relevance, in the one sheet too. How is that kind of consciously integrated alongside these traditional components?
I mean, a lot of these songs are written in a traditional
Yeah.
country or folk. Has that kind of background to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, there are the lyrics kind of pull it to the modern day of it. I don't know, or if some of the instrumentation that we use.
It's
There
not
wasn't-
just folksy for
Yeah.
folksiness. Like
Right.
there's so many like folk bands that are just like I just said, folksy for folksiness.
Yeah. How is this not that? I think it's not that, but how is it not that?
How is it not that?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer for that either. But it isn't that. It's not just folksy. It's like Jake's playing a banjo,
Mm.
and
It's not straight bluegrass.
It's
not
not
straight
bluegrass.
country.
Yeah.
It's not just country.
I mean, like your
Jake's
walking, talking bit
brilliant.
epitomizes.
He's
or
a
something.
brilliant songwriter, and he's got that voice that just like melts your heart, and
Oh,
but somehow like he is able to write these songs that like blue collar blues.
Yeah.
I mean, just bring that up just to reference like blue collars. He's like somehow like gets to the heart of like everybody.
Yeah.
Without like being sentimental. It's nostalgia without sentimentality, and it's like old timiness without being like
Without like
redundant.
posturing. Yeah, without being redundant. Yeah, yeah.
And beyond that, I don't really know. It's just somehow Jake writes great tunes.
Yeah.
well, thanks, Maddie.
Yeah.
You did.
I don't know. I kind of started on old timey bluegrass.
Okay, that was what you began.
Yeah,
with,
well, that's what I would listen to a lot through my younger teenage years, and kind of from there I grew into just opening up to a lot of different stuff, a lot of different genres, and I don't know if that blended at some point, but I don't like if anybody asks like, oh, what do you guys play? I don't say bluegrass or blues or country or grunge. It's tough to. I don't like to pinpoint it, and I can.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of like about what we do. As you know, we've been playing around for a little bit, but
It's greasy, but it's
Yeah.
family friendly.
at the same time, yeah,
Depends on the family. Yeah.
old people like it because it's got
Very-
that kind of fringe, and at the same time, there's the newer kind of sounds to it that, yeah.
It's described as an intimate and joyful, spirited country romp. And we have been like this story. We've been romping around like
Yeah, a lot of
in a-
romp.
It's a romp.
Yeah, all over Wisconsin
It's all new to
and
me.
Minnesota. And it seems like that there was a lot of romping, like the family, the two of you and other members of the family were doing lots of romping, and that
Yeah.
has left a mark on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a very, our side of the family it's pretty loud and entertaining
Yeah.
side of it. That
Sure is.
we learned early that to perform,
Yeah.
exaggerate.
We like to have fun.
Yeah. So a lot of campfires, camping, and getting loud and getting told to quiet down, and Maddie getting kicked out of campgrounds because of that. We don't want to bring that up.
I've only been kicked out several campgrounds.
Only
Family
several.
events. Touchy subject.
Even before you were kicked out of the bar, you've been kicked out of the campground.
Kicked out of many bars.
Started early.
I've
The
only been kicked out of
bars,
several
the
campgrounds.
plural bar. So, what are some of the either through anecdote form or not? What are some of the qualities or characteristics of Pinilla that are being paid homage to here?
I mean, there's a lot that to start with, I don't know, the openness that she's usually. I know Maddie's he's just probably burst in at what he wants to start off by saying, but
That question is deep, but
yeah.
moving on.
Yeah.
It's almost like what she was just so loving at the same time as whatever you're doing, whatever art you're performing, she's 110% in it and
Right.
wants to know about it, and
Yeah.
and very supportive, and at the same time just great human.
Was she ever able to hear any of these songs, or are these written later?
This all was recorded later.
We got to play with her a couple times.
We did get to play with her a couple times, but of the old songs. But these songs,
The
all
ones
came
from the
after.
EP. Yeah.
Pinilla, in general, that song was written after the fact.
Yeah. When I am blue, I think of you is the refrain. So I find it really interesting that the record begins with playing the harmonica, playing the blues for the lover from Pocosi or wherever, because she doesn't want me as a man. But then it culminates like right near the end with thinking of Pinilla when one is blue, and so moving away from the blues through
and that
moving towards Pinilla.
And I don't know if there's a straight line of, it goes in order, but there is there's almost like two sides of it, where two sides of the album where it this is one part, and then this is another time. There wasn't much thinking behind what I was writing at the time. It just kind of whatever flows out. And
Speaking from your experience,
there's the kind of the rowdier side, and
Yeah.
then towards the end was kind of moving in a different direction.
And we got the nice accordion segue. Accordion played by Jake, and it goes into goes into Pinilla.
Yeah.
And the other soft sentimental song.
Yeah.
Of What Happened to Your Love.
The final track. Is it significant that we travel from the drinking part via the toilet, perhaps spend a bit of time there, to the beautiful reflective part? Or is it just significant that we have all of those components, not necessarily with that trajectory?
I don't know if there's much of a trajectory about it, but it's just it kind of encompasses it all. I don't know.
Because to me, it seems like Pinilla is that kind of that that human being is at the heart of this farm community that's being celebrated and like given a voice and a sound in the record. And so like amongst all of that rowdiness, we find this beauty.
Yeah, there's always the backbone behind it.
Yeah.
Behind it all, and I mean, some of those songs can get dirty or loud or rowdy, and but at the same time, there's structure and the love behind it all.
And even the song Pinilla has a reference to the porch swinging in it. So these two components are not really separable. Were you bursting at the seams? No?
I mean, this is a silly and isolated memory, but it's a memory that I think of often when I think of Grandma Pinilla. And it was, Christmas, like 1994, so I was like 13. And, but, we're like hanging out at our aunt's house, like playing cards, everybody's like going off doing their own thing, and it's just like me and a handful of my cousins my age and like grandma. And grandma just like takes her older cousin, who's like now deputy sheriff down in Houston County. She grabs his 40-ounce beer and just like starts like, chugging it, like two hands at.
How old is he at the time?
I'm 21.
Yeah.
And it's like the same woman who would throw us plate-sized pancakes from across the room every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
how did he react to her chugging his beer?
I'm sure there was a lot of high fives.
How many times did you see the granny band? Did you ever play in the granny band?
No, I was just a rabid fan of the granny band. I saw him play a couple times, from back porches to
you saw them
old folks' homes.
Yeah.
And they would play wherever, whenever, and it would be awesome.
Had there been like a strong musical component to the family and life on the farm before the decision to form the granny band, or was that kind of out of the blue?
I don't know about that. I think it was she would play in church every
like piano songs.
Yeah, she played church every Sunday. Piano for that. And it was it was always, that was almost like a show. Like, oh, we gotta go to church.
In the 40s on the farm, miles away from your closest neighbor, and we got like 8 aunts and uncles. What do? Like, you hang out and play piano and sing songs.
Mm-hmm.
So music had this important role of like bringing everyone together. Yeah, is that what music was doing in the family?
Yeah, it was. For me, I didn't start music till late. It was I enjoyed them playing, but I didn't start till when I was my mid-teens.
Yeah,
that was just with harmonica, just by ear, and then when I picked up the banjo, and I haven't taken a lesson or anything yet, and that kind of goes into doing it wrong, because that's kind of where that came from, where we're playing, but we might not be doing it right, because
sometimes I've never doing it right.
Yeah, I've never taken a music lesson before. It's just all kind of what we were grown up on, and the old kind of standards that I'm used to knowing, and maybe that's what comes out with the traditional kind of folkier songs.
Yeah. So in that song, you're telling yourself that you've been doing it wrong. So there's like some self-doubt. But then in the final verse, there's this interaction with my mama.
Yeah.
She hasn't had a shout out yet.
Yes, she is.
If she's made it to this point in the interview, like she can suddenly
Yeah,
relax.
there it is.
All the other family members got
Oh, yeah.
theirs, but
Monkey Rita, the doubting mama. Not doubting it.
Doting.
Yeah.
but in this particular. Are you doting at this particular moment? In this particular moment, she told me, she said, son, get off this ride and get the bags from under your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From under your eyes. Yeah. It.
So what's happening at the end of that song? Because I keep telling her I've been feeling just fine. So you confess throughout the rest of the song that you feel that you're doing it wrong. But then when the doting mother kind of like says, take care of yourself.
This isn't, there's not a lot of truth to this.
Yeah.
This line. I'm not going to say, like, she was like, you got to put that banjo down. Go get a job, damn it. No, she's very supportive.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. But at the same time, it just, I don't know if that just turns to, others saying, like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're kind of running ragged doing this. Doing the, as you can say, being in multiple bands, as Pamela knows, that you can run yourself ragged at times.
Yeah, I had a pleasure of running myself ragged.
Definitely. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's I feel fine.
It's fine.
This is good.
And there is a truth to that. Yeah.
Like keep pushing forward.
I find it interesting that as soon as they're in the song, there's someone else saying, "Take care, are you okay?"
Yeah.
Like the self-doubt that I feel like I'm doing it wrong goes away as soon as as soon as the hint that you might be doing it wrong comes from is external.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a stubbornness to it.
I'm fine.
It might be like I'm fine. Screw you, I'm on this. But
yeah. Well, you are fine, and I hope that you do continue rambling. And I'm
like
putting
that.
this out. Are there plans for so you had the EP? The EP didn't hear the light of day, didn't see the light of day.
That's right.
This one clearly is poised and
This
ready
one's
to
out.
Yeah.
It's out. It's out.
And you'll be performing it on October 13th at the Eagles. What happens to Jake DUDA, the person and the band, post October 13th?
We'll be just fine. We're gonna keep pushing on.
Nice.
Yeah. No.
Are there new songs? Are there plans to write or perform new music?
Yeah. There's stuff in the works.
Christmas EP.
I don't know if you're supposed to be saying that. Is there, when's this gonna air? Is this gonna air after Christmas? We'll be fine. Yeah, you can say it. Yeah. But yeah, we're working on some new songs. I don't know.
Cool.
Some of them had the Christmas theme to
New
them.
classics.
And
Corn dogs for Christmas.
Corn dogs for Christmas.
Yeah, that's
Is that one of the new songs?
one of the songs. Yeah,
Oh, brilliant.
the trucker song.
Cool.
So,
I can't wait for Christmas.
hey, well,
And the corn dogs.
Simon, we'll get you an EP.
And some corn dogs.
Well,
You're lucky.
we'll make our way to the gas station. Those are the best corn dogs.
Cool. Well, I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time that we get to October 13th, I'll remind you at the show.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you get me those corn dogs.
I usually keep one
Make
in
sure
my
you get
front
the
pocket,
EP out.
so I'll bring two.
Well,
two
maybe
each.
I'll have one of the corn dogs that hasn't been kept in your pocket.
All right. We'll see what we can do.
Eat land breast pocket. Take your peg.